Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the show where we cut through the noise and show you how real estate professionals are using AI to win. I'm Rajeev Sajja, and every week I talk with people who are actually doing the work and building solutions and not just talking about it. Today's guest is Brittany Jordan from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. She shares how she has built master prompts for collapsing time, building AI as a thought partner, and leveraging custom GPTs for repeatable tasks. Let's get into it with Brittany. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. And today I have Brittany Jordan from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, or the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. She is a broker owner at Mason Magnolia Real Estate.
Mason and Magnolia, yeah.
Mason and Magnolia. And I bumped into Brittany in Charleston last year in April. And we sort of stayed connected on Instagram, and I reached out to her. She was doing some cool stuff with AI and also speaking. She's a keynote speaker as well now. So Brittany, welcome to the podcast.
Yay, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to chatting with you. So, I gave you like a elevator pitch intro. So could you walk us through for our listening audience to how you got into real estate and bring us to today?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also all about the elevator pitches. So I kind of have, everybody has their own story of how they got into real estate. Mine is a little bit different. I'm an Army brat, and my mom was actually a realtor. So when I was in high school, 07, 08, 09, probably one of the best times to be in real estate. She was a realtor, and when I was graduating, I had my heart set on law school. I wanted to do pre-law. I wanted to be an attorney, and she was trying so hard to get me into real estate because she was like, I'm telling you, you're going to be a natural. And, moms know their kids best. But like most teenagers, I didn't want to do what my mom wanted me to do. So I did not want to be a realtor. I wanted to go do my own thing. I was pre-law at Austin P, which is in Tennessee. And I was a couple of weeks away from taking my LSAT when my political science professor sat me down in the last semester, mind you, sits me down and tells me, you're going to hate this. You don't need to be an attorney. You're just going to hate it. He said, you need to be in sales. And so basically, I was just like, what do you do with your life at that point? You waited until the very end of it. But anyway, so I interned at a few places. I worked at a few law firms, and lo and behold, I hated it. I did not like being inside all day. It was very negative workspace. I just didn't like it. So had to kind of figure out what to do. This professor did recommend, when he was like, you need to be in sales, he said, you need to like go sell cars or something. And I was just like, what? Who said what? I'm 22 years old. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, so we were military. The military brought me to Georgia. And as I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life, I walked into a first I walked into a Mercedes-Benz. And I pretty much told the sales manager, you're going to hire me. I will figure it out. I don't know anything about cars. My idea of rotating tires is when you drive every day. So I've had nothing. I had no experience or knowledge, but I told him I can work hard and I will figure it out. I can learn anything. And fast forward a little bit, he hired me. I did very well. I followed him to BMW, and he taught me everything I know about sales from that aspect of it. And pretty much at that point, I was hooked. I love people. I like commission-only jobs. I like to be able to, basically, if I work harder, I can make more money. I like to control my income. And I really like the service industry. I like working for people and helping people with things. And so I got a lot of joy out of that. I really enjoyed that. I moved once again to Mississippi, and this is going to sound a little bougie, but Mississippi, Hattiesburg did not have any luxury car dealerships. And I wanted, I was used to BMW and Mercedes. So I still went to every car dealership in town, and nobody would hire me. I was a top producing salesperson at BMW and Mercedes, but nobody here would hire me because I was a 23-year-old female. And I had one guy laugh at me too. So basically, I'm starting all over. What do I do? Real estate was always in the back of my mind. I knew that I could do it. I would be good at it, but it was still like maybe stubbornness. I don't know. I didn't want to do it. So bartended a little bit. I actually worked for Verizon, still commission only. I did that for a little while, went up pretty high with that, regional traveled, loved that. Still, it wasn't what I wanted. And so I still kind of felt that thing. Maybe it was God actually, probably saying, look, you know what you need to be doing and you just need to do it. So finally at 25, I think, one of my friends had gotten into real estate and I called her and then called my mom. And so here we are. I'm 25, got my real estate license, and I'm living in a town that I'm not from. And this is even though Hattiesburg is a fairly large city, it still has that small town mentality. And it has a lot of people that have lived here forever and know everybody. Most of the towns that I lived in were military installations where nobody is from there anyway. So I've never had any problems, meeting people, making friends, that sort of thing. But starting real estate in Hattiesburg was very challenging because not only did I not know the area, I didn't know anybody. This was also pre-COVID. This was 10 years ago. So pre-COVID, where I was the youngest by like 20 years, so there I am again, a young person, and that people are just like, I'm not trusting this girl. Who I'm going to use so-and-so who's been in it for 20 years. And I went to high school with her mom, or you know what I mean? So I had that challenge. But basically I just pretty much dove deep into social media. Again, this was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And nobody was using social media for real estate. Nobody. So that's kind of where I really took off and became I hate to use the word top producer, but essentially that's what happened. I did very well. And I always knew when I got into real estate that I wanted to be a broker at some point. I have such a passion for teaching, obviously here, I love to talk. I tell people I'm a professional yapper. So I like to talk. I like to help people. And so I still sell. I love real estate sales, but my passion now really is teaching agents. So 5 years into the business, I got my broker's license and opened up a brokerage. I have a boutique brokerage, and I really love it. I love teaching. I like making, the training classes. It's just, I get a lot of joy out of it. I really like to watch other people's success. That's where my joy comes from, not my own success. It's from their success. I'm like, I will be your biggest cheerleader, and it makes me so happy, especially if you're becoming successful from, tools that I've helped you with and things, it's just like watching your kids grow up and seeing all the things. It's the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things to unpack. First of all, you're my first guest from Mississippi.
Yes. I remember you saying that.
And you're the second guest that I could recall that got exposure to sales in car sales and then moved. So episode 101, I believe, Andrew Undum, he's like massive real estate team in Baltimore. You should catch that episode. We'll put a link.
Yeah, I will. 101. Okay.
Show notes. And
I don't think I've heard that one.
And he's one of the ones that I think really articulates sales and communication. He's nailed that, and one of my go-to resources. So you're my second person that sort of started in car sales, and he's also luxury. He was telling me all these things about.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I'm like, we're a very rare breed.
So you and Andrew are like a good start in terms of how you sort of pivoted to real estate, and you now have 3 offices, 15 agent firm. And we'll put a link to Brittany's social stuff in the show notes. And if you're looking for a rock star agent or team to help you in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi.
Yep, we got you covered. We pretty much have South Mississippi covered.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So let me get to, what was your first light bulb moment with AI?
Okay, so this is fun. Like most people, especially realtors in general. I kind of started out with, the basics, make this sound better. Help me write a list or just write
Yeah.
a listing description. About 6 years ago, I was at a conference that do you know Marky Lemon
Marky Lemon,
Rouse?
yeah.
Yes, she
Yeah.
was teaching, and it was full blown AI. We're talking the video, the voice changes, everything was completely. And I'll be completely honest, it freaked me out. I was
Yeah.
like, I want nothing to do with this. This is weird. Was at a time for me when I still had like the mic off on my Alexa because I was thinking somebody was listening to me all day. So I was like anti artificial intelligence. And I'm a very techie person. I
Yeah.
love technology. It excites me. So I'm not one of those that's like, I don't like change or anything, but AI, for whatever reason, was one thing that I was like, I don't want to embrace it. It's like aliens taking over. It freaks me out. So I started kind of playing with Chat GPT because it ended up being one of those things where I kept seeing it. I think I saw something that maybe Gary Vee put out saying if you don't learn to use this, you're going to be left behind. But really, my light bulb moment, you're going to love this, was when I went to your class at Inside Real Estate Unite last year. And I wish I had my notebook here. I think I took like 7 pages of notes. And that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, I've got to figure this out. I've got to dive deeper because I am being left behind, essentially. It's no secret, the South is kind of slower in a lot of things, especially my area where I live. I don't know a lot of people that have really embraced it other than the basic write a listing description. So
Yeah.
I was like, there are a lot of really incredible tools out there that I can really just kind of dive deep and learn. And so over the past year, that's what I've done. I have taken classes, I've gone to conferences, I'm, learning everything, and I'm just blown away. And now I'm like, okay, this stuff is really good. This can really help me. It's not out to, it's not out to replace anybody. They're really good tools that can buy back your time. And, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. I've got a husband and kids and the agents. And so, anything that can help me buy back some time, I'm all for. And then also, not to mention, just like sometimes you just get brain dead and you just like help. I'm severe ADHD and I can just like sometimes plug all my stuff in and just say, help me organize my thoughts.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Good that you shared those things. I think it's interesting. You mentioned people are scared with AI, and they're rightfully so in many cases. The other day I was talking to my daughter, who's just turned 27. She just moved to California, Santa Monica, California,
Oh, wow. That's
right
pretty.
before the snowstorm, so perfect timing. And she was telling me,
Blame
Dad, I think there's a lot of people that are getting lazy because of AI,
Mhm.
because they just think AI is just going to do everything for them, and they're not using critical thinking, emotional
Right.
intelligence, to your point. And if you just sort of plug in and just take whatever AI gives you without putting your spin on it and all of the things we talk about, you're going to be AI mediocrity, right? You got to put your personality
Absolutely.
into it. Just because AI can doesn't mean AI should, right? I was talking to another person
I'll
that
write that
said,
down.
yeah, no, somebody said, I love creativity and I love writing. I enjoy writing. I said, you should never outsource that to AI. Maybe brainstorm with AI for ideas, but you do the writing because it's fuels your creativity and your juices. So I think it's important
Absolutely.
to pick and choose your battles and things that you want to automate, to your point, giving you time back. Right.
Right. And then now I think what you can see is so many people are getting into Chat GPT for whatever their social media posts or whatnot. And now when I'm scrolling, I can instantly tell. I'm like, that's AI. And I don't even want to read it. It doesn't even seem, you're losing that authenticity.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I tell my agents all the time too. Don't let it write it for you. If you want to get ideas and help, you know, you've got to do it to where it doesn't look like AI did it for you. Still do it yourself. Because I think we're going to see, in the next year or two, people are going to start craving that authenticity again. And
Yeah.
so the posts that go viral or what have you not, they're going to be somebody actually just writing something, because we're not going to be used to that anymore. Now we're used to just like all these, professional paragraphs with M dashes and, and it's just like, if you didn't talk like that before or write like that before, and then all of a sudden you've started writing like that, it's not you.
100%.
You've got to be
and
you.
I think it's important to learn how to train AI to write like you, think like you over time. So the best use of AI, I tell people, is when nobody knows you're using AI, but the output is a whole lot better than what you used to produce. So I think that's good takeaways. Yeah. And I think in the learning journey for all of the people that are listening, the reason you're better with leveraging AI is if you can kind of train it with your tone, voice, style, all of those things. So if Brittany reads your post, she doesn't know it's AI. That's the key, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and I think
let's dive in.
Year,
yeah, go ahead, Nisha.
I'm sorry. No, over the past year, I've finally have gotten to that point where, it sounds like me. And so if I do tweak it a little bit, I will tweak it, and then I'll send it back and I'll this is what I decided to use. And then it saves that memory, Yeah,
100%. So, I love what you said earlier that, obviously you loved sales, you love certain aspects of sales, but then you also enjoy teaching and training, and you have like 15 agents that you want to help shine, in many ways, right? You're sort of broker owner there. So I'd love to get into some specific AI use cases that are helping your own productivity or your agents, and also maybe even get into if there's some things that you want to talk about around how you're helping all 15 agents kind of leverage AI with some meaningful things you're sort of presenting in front of them. So start wherever you want to start.
Right. Okay. So one thing that I do that I really like to do is I'm trying to organize my thoughts. So I still sell, and then I have the brokerage and the agents, and then I have, everything that I'm doing on the side with, the podcast, the conferences, the speaking, that sort of thing. So one thing that has helped me was learning how to create master prompts for each of those goals, and each of those things. So learning and spending time creating those prompts. And for the people listening, if they don't know how to do that, you can actually ask ChatGPT to ask you the questions that are needed to create your master prompt. And then when you have that master prompt, that helps with everything going forward. So when I'm working with the agents and, I'm having chat help me create training classes, or I'm prepping this meeting, let's work on an agenda together. It has my master prompt, so I don't have to keep repeating myself. But in that master prompt, it has my goals and everything that, that I want to achieve when working with these agents or when working with my clients. Or, for example, my Instagram, I am trying to keep my Instagram to where I have, because I still sell, so I want to attract clients. But then I also kind of want to attract agents, because I'm kind of segue, into training agents and then also business. So, so it's like I've got all these moving parts, but having these really good master prompts for each is helping me leverage that. So that's one thing that I really like. The master prompts.
If I could double click on that a little bit, I think
absolutely.
As we start our AI journey, you hear the word prompt, and I tell people, look, when you see mediocrity content outside, AI really doesn't suck. Your prompts do.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. And I think what you've sort of built over time is there's two unlocks that you've shared. One is building really good workable prompts that are rinse and repeats. Number one. Second, asking AI to interview you is a big unlock that even today, I'm shocked at how few people actually have done that. So anything you want to learn, AI can teach you. So if you want to build a prompt, give it the use case of what you want to build it for. And don't I push AI really to the limits to make sure it comes back with a really good prompt in this case. So have it interview you one question at a time to deeply understand your business before it generates the request. And even after it generates the request, ask it a question like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the best prompt you've ever created, where do you rank your prompt that you just gave me? And sometimes it comes back at like 7. Idea. Well, why don't you make it a 10 and it's really push it? Don't just sometimes we are so thrilled with what AI produces. We're so happy because we didn't have to do it.
They're like,
But
yes.
don't yeah, exactly. Yes. Don't lower your standards though. So just keep pushing AI and you'll get better output. So that's great takeaways, being interviewed by AI and building master prompts. So awesome. What is
That's a
next on
great
your
idea. And kind of to piggyback on what you said about interviewing, another thing too that we do is asking it to audit your website, your social
Yeah.
media, and just really break that down and compare it to other realtors or what have you in your market. And because we're kind of about to we're already there with some things and in some areas, but we're getting
Yeah.
to where the public is going to start researching their realtors on chat, because right now they're Googling them. Now they're going to start doing it on Chat GPT. So you can ask Chat GPT, how do I become the realtor that is suggested when you suggest realtors? What realtors are
Yeah.
you
So
suggesting right now?
interesting you mentioned that, Brittany. So we're recording this episode with Brittany on late February. It's going to air late March. Last week's episode, which would be March 18th, I'm doing an interview with Brian Boyero. He's a founder of 1000 Watt Consulting industry research organization. And the title of that podcast, you should go listen to it the week before Brittany's episode, is How Buyers and Sellers Are Using AI and How Agents Can Win.
Ah, there you go.
Right. So to your point, they're beyond Google
Mhm.
now. So this survey, I've gotten preview of the data, interviewed 1,500 buyers and sellers, how they use AI. So you can assume now savvy buyers and sellers don't just have a buyer agent or a listing agent, they also have an AI agent in their pocket that they're validating everything you're saying or things they don't know. They don't want to ask the agent. And that survey, I believe, was done like late 2025. And finding and selecting agents is the top of the funnel that they're
See?
searching for
Yep,
agents.
there it is.
It is being impacted across the board. Listen to Brian's episode previous week because we dive into the details and what agents can do, more importantly, to win in the new AI world. So great takeaways for sure there. Clients are using AI for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a good episode. I'll make sure that I listen to that one too. That's another thing is just doing the research. You can do deep market research and finding out what are buyers searching, and just figuring out how you can leverage that, how you can be better, how, you can compete with that. Chat GPT will tell you exactly what you need to know when it comes to being the agent that is recommended and what you need to do and the steps
Yeah.
on that.
And the other thing, do you use Notebook LM from Google, Brittany?
Yes, that's on my list. I have started using that a couple of months ago, and I even told my husband about it. He has his own business, not in real estate, but he started using it for his business too. And he's like, wow, this is awesome. I'd love to do Notebook LM. One thing that I really like about it is I can plug all of our data so a lot of people probably don't know this, but Mississippi is a non-disclosure state. So what you pay for your property is not public record. So I can't go in, and ask it to give me all the stats and, certain things like that. I have to go pull that from our MLS myself and then plug that into Notebook LM, and then I can generate what I need. So Notebook LM has been really helpful for me with that.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting news. Recently, Google and Zillow did an announcement that Zillow released a Google Notebook LM for helping buyers with frequently asked questions. Now that's a national notebook, but if you're listening to
I have
this,
not seen that.
yeah, and we'll put a link in the show
Okay.
notes for that. But more
Yeah.
importantly, if you're listening to this as an agent, if Zillow did something like that, it's a good idea, but it's national. The data's national. There's
Right.
some concepts and themes echo across, first-time home buyer stuff. Fine. Here's an idea. If you're going into a listing appointment or a buyer consult, what if you built a buyer or a seller notebook with top 10 frequently asked questions, hyper-local market data,
Market specific. Absolutely.
and you offer that notebook, say, I built this for you. So if you have any questions, this is how you become irreplaceable, folks. It's not AI replacing an agent ever. It's AI making you irreplaceable because you know how to embed AI into your workflow. So go build that notebook and share it with your buyer consult or a seller consult. So that's a great way to apply that in a hyper-local market.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good idea. And you can use that for, relocation guides. The coast
100%.
is really big with relocation, and there's military down there too. And so I mean that right there can really help and save you a lot of time too than if you were to sit there and build it all out on Canva.
Yeah, 100%. And then think about this, Brittany, with you, three offices, 15 agents. You probably have 5 or 6 key market areas. I'm just making that number up, but what if you built a notebook for each of those market areas centrally and your agents use it all day long at listing appointments or buyer consults? So there's way to
Yeah.
scale as you start to train. It's not a solo effort. If you're a broker listening to this, that's the kind of stuff you start to be thinking about, where you're perceived more innovative, value add, and that's where you win when you go into a listing or a buyer consult. So great takeaways there. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah. Um, the custom GPTs,
Yeah.
I love those. Those have helped a lot too. I will touch on real quick so goal planning. I am one
Yeah.
of those that come January, I'm like, oh yes, I love January. January is, one of my favorite times of the year. I get super motivated. I'm not one that I don't make resolutions and then they just fall by the wayside, by January 15th. I'm not one of those. I love goal planning. I love to set measurable goals. So one thing that I did at the beginning of the year with all of my agents was we sat down and obviously we looked at last year, but we came up with goals and I had chat help me with all of this. It helped me come up with questions to send them before the meeting. And then when we sat down and went over everything, we found out, what were your strengths, weaknesses. We talked about specific deals. We talked about, not just goals and, all the things. Then we took all of that, plugged it into chat, and basically worked with Chat GPT to set measurable goals, but then break that down because anybody can set goals. It's got to be measurable, but you've got to break them down and form habits and set it into weekly and daily. And then so Chat was able to not only come up with habits based on this and tell us, okay, so if your goal is to become the top listing agent in this particular neighborhood, well, what are you going to do how are you going to do that? And
Right.
Chat was able to break everything down. Well, you should do this, this, and this, and even like creative content ideas and who are the top realtors in that area right now, and what are the, and so we were able to just break all that down and then create habits and weekly schedules and accountability charts. And I mean, it did all of that stuff for us. And it's just an incredible tool when you actually learn how to use it for your business instead of help me write this listing description for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. Like
Yeah,
I was
no, I
doing
mean,
a year ago.
it's very interesting, right? It's the progression that we've all gone through. Initially, everybody sort of starts with, write me a listing description. We get over that.
Right.
That's table stakes for a long time now. Now you start to think about AI as your thought partner, your second brain that you
Absolutely.
can bounce ideas off to elevate your output beyond what you did without it. So I think you've touched on some really key takeaways here for me. Is like master prompting,
Mhm.
your interview process of AI interviewing you to get better output, notebook LM we talked about, and of course the last thing you just mentioned with custom GPT. So cool. Anything else before I get to my final 2 questions? I ask all my guests, Brittany. Anything else that AI is helping you with?
Um, that those are kind of the biggest
Two
things, I
things,
think,
yeah, for sure.
the
I mean, we
main
could talk
thing.
all day. I mean, there's so many
Oh,
things we could talk about. AI.
absolutely.
In the
Yeah,
interest
I
of time
love
and
it.
our listening audience's appetite to actually listen for 30 minutes on a good episode that's going to add value. Let me get to the
There you
final two
go.
questions. So, um, if and you've been in real estate how many years now?
A little over 10, going
10.
on
Okay, so
11.
you got a good decade in you.
Yeah.
Um, so if you were starting in real estate today,
Mhm.
knowing what you know, what is the one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Besides, don't be afraid of AI. Because if I can,
Yeah.
I think that was 6 years ago. If I would have dove into that at the time, man, I wish I would have. Because, like I said, I'm not one to be afraid of change. I love technology and change. So that would be one thing. I think the other thing would be to set boundaries ahead of time. And I know that doesn't really have anything to do with the AI, but maybe the AI now, as far as working smarter, not harder, but I think a lot of realtors get into the business and are conditioned that you have to be available 24/7. You have to work 24/7. Now I work hard. Don't get me wrong, but you can set boundaries. And so I kind of wish that I would have done that in the beginning. I have them in place now, and I explain that to my agents now, but that would probably be
great advice. Look, and that advice doesn't have to do anything with AI. This was just like business advice. So setting boundaries, and I'll tell you, to your point, if you dug into AI earlier, and if you look at, when I do presentations and keynotes, I ask the audience, how many of you start to use it like multiple times a day? I'll tell you, I think there's a small section of real estate agents that have sort of really gone advanced, but a high majority, I'm talking like 70, 80% of it, realtors are still in the basic mode.
Yeah.
So I do think it's still early, as much as you say AI has been around for 3+ years now. However, I believe 2026 will be the year of the AI-powered agent.
I think so too. We're seeing that in a lot more conferences as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
yeah, and that when we met at Unite in April 2024, maybe.
Yes.
25. Sorry.
No, it was last April.
Yeah, last year. So 25. It seemed like 5 years ago. The way that this AI stuff is moving. I mean, so the talks I do are so radically different now, but it's progressing. Don't get FOMO with AI. If you're listening to this, just start somewhere. And I tell people that if you're in a better spot with AI this time next year and you're on your own journey, that's really what you can expect.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So this has been a great episode, Brittany. I appreciate you jumping on. I hope to meet you in real life again real soon here. So good luck at Unite this year in Charleston. I love Charleston as a city. Yeah, for sure. And thank you for hopping on.
So, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care,
Brittany. Bye.
If you found value in the show, follow it so you're notified every Wednesday when new episodes drop. Share it with someone in the industry you care for, and leave us a review as it helps us reach more real estate professionals like you.